Hello. I just wanted to take a moment and just give a fair warning for today's show because we're going to be talking about some things that are definitely not suitable for children. I'm not trying to be crass or dirty, but I do believe that when we address issues, that we should do it in a way that gives no room for doubt. So, if you're a parent and you have some children around, I would advise that you would watch this video first and then that you would gauge it to see if this is right for your children. Again, I am a firm believer about talking about issues, even heavy issues, without beating around the bush. This is one of my problems with churches today, is that they're too afraid to address things that need to be said and given to censorship far too often. And no, I'm not anti-church or anti-religious, quite the opposite actually, but that's another issue for another video for another day. On with the show. Did Columbus rape women? The claims from the rape that history revisionists tried to hang their hat on comes from Michel de Cugno, who wrote his supposed journal, and I say supposed because even the veracity of his journal is up for debate. Nevertheless, the claims for the rape come from this passage in his journal. Quote, "While I was in the boat, I captured a very beautiful Carib woman, whom the said Lord Admiral gave to me." A very good point is made by the author of this article, Rafael Ortiz. But because I am American, I'm going to be pronouncing his name Rafael Ortiz. That is debating the veracity of this letter, as well as Columbus's role in the supposed rape. He poses the question, which one did Columbus do? Did he give Cugno the girl, or did Cugno capture the girl? Both statements cannot be true at the same time. Secondly, Cugno also claims that he beat the girl for initially denying him intercourse. Those screams surely would have been heard by one of the 1,200 people that were on board the 17 ships of the second voyage. And keep in mind that not everyone that went on the second voyage was a friend of Columbus. If any of his enemies had caught wind of anything untoward that Columbus had done or would have allowed, you bet that they would have been first in line to report it. Lastly, there were two other respectable sources of history that were part of the second voyage, Dr. Diego Alvarez Chanca and Guillermo Coma of Aragon, neither of which reported any type of sexual misdeeds that were conducted by Columbus or even allowed by him. Furthermore, Ortiz also cites that neither Dr. Chanca, Coma, Ferdinand Columbus, Peter Martyr, Las Casas, Herrera, or any other credible source ever mentioned that Columbus was raping or giving women away to be raped. And you can bet that a man like Las Casas, who fought for Indian rights, or an enemy like Bobadilla would have been first in line to throw Columbus under the bus had he engaged in any type of rape or sexual misconduct. Did Columbus bring slavery to the West? Yes, absolutely. Because the Indians that were on the islands, they were all getting along with each other in harmony. They were so happy and peaceful before the white man came and ruined their tranquility and their harmony. It was the white man that introduced slavery and barbarianism into the peaceful Indian civilization. Oh, wait. Obviously, I was joking, but we have got to dispel this notion that everything was peaceful and perfect before the white man came. That the source of all the world's problems stems from its progenitors, the whites. And it's astounding to me that people make these repeated claims that the Indians were not barbaric before the advent of Columbus. It's been ingrained in the minds of so many Americans that the Indians lived like Pocahontas in the Disney movie and that they were all one with nature and the animals and the spirits and each other, and they were just living in absolute tranquility before Columbus came and ruined everything. So no, he did not introduce slavery to the West. It was in practice long before he had even come, and it was still going strong well after his death. Furthermore, many revisionist historians have accredited the encomienda slavery system to Columbus, but that is false. A quick Google search will show you that the encomienda system was developed and put into play as early as 1503. That is 3 years after Bobadilla had Columbus deposed as governor of the Carib Islands, which would make it rather difficult for him to implement anything there with no authority. In 1503, after Columbus and Bobadilla, a new governor steps onto the scene by the name of Nicolas de Ovando. And the encomienda slavery system was actually implemented under, you guessed it, Ovando. And all historians agree that it was under the encomienda system where most of the brutality and the abuses occurred. Now, Columbus did implement the repartimiento system, which was a system of forced labor. And remember that bastion of conservatism, Dartmouth, even they have to concede the points that there were wages and legal protections for the workers under that system. Now, there were abuses that did occur under the system, but Columbus's role in those abuses that took place cannot be attributed to him. Columbus was forced to implement this system due to the revolting Spanish settlers and political pressure for forced labor and to turn a profit for the expenses that occurred during these voyages to the New World. Columbus brought disease with him to the New World. Now, this is one point that we can actually give, is that he and his crew did indeed bring sickness and diseases with them that the Indians were not immune to. Though to say that it was through malicious intent is absolutely wrong. By this point, they still didn't understand how diseases were spread. The most common and prevailing thought was that it spread through too much sun, or blood poisoning, or even through miasma. It wasn't until Robert Hooke and Antony, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, who discovered the fruiting mold structures and bacteria over 150 years later. That being said, the diseases that were brought to the New World through the European settlers killed many of the Indians. An estimated 85 to 90% of the Indians were killed by disease. The interesting thing about this fact is that this would actually serve to further discredit any claims of the Spanish bringing the Indians to near extinction through the use of violence. So, does Columbus still deserve all the hate that he gets? I don't think so. I don't think he deserves all the hate. We've repeatedly seen that he was maligned and impugned even back in his day, primarily by vicious political opponents or some bonehead whose testimonies are dubious at best. Most of Columbus's contemporaries often spoke neutrally of him or even highly of him. Had he committed any of the atrocities that his opponents accused him of, it is highly unlikely that he would have been permitted to return to the New World for his third and fourth journey there. After his fourth and final voyage, he returned to Spain in poor health and lived out the rest of his days in peace, and at the age of 53, he died in 1506 in Spain. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think all this hate for Columbus is completely overblown. I think a lot of it is founded in ignorance, and for those who know better, obviously I think that is found in more malicious intent to try to undermine our country as it was founded. But again, what do you think about this? I think it was amazing what he did, that he crossed the uncharted ocean, he left the comforts of home, and he brought America to the attention of the civilized and technologically advanced European nations. And I don't think that we should take that away from him. That wraps up our Columbus section. Again, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next video. Next time on PMS.